So I lost it the other night, from all council, couldn't find it, and it ended up for some reason on Test Channel.
Oh, okay.
So I moved it across to stay now. So
Oh, don't worry. I was cross because this afternoon, I went through all the planning applications. I made notes, put the sticky notes onto my mod.gov, and I lost it all.
right, we're live now.
We're live now. Okay. I don't suppose anybody will actually be watching us live, but it is nice to be live, I suppose.
Well, I just want to get 5 minutes. So I had the box there now. So.
Oh, that was a bit.
Yeah, that was the Zoom clicking in.
Oh, right. Okay, fine.
So I've just minimised that. It'll take care of itself.
That'll take care of itself, will it? Okay. I am finding though the only way to do this is to print out an agenda.
Yeah. I was looking at that and thought I could almost do the 3 screens.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I could do 2 screens, but then actually it's quite difficult to maintain two screens, to have the paperwork up on one and to be trying to share it on Zoom as well. It's really quite difficult. It's not easy, yeah. But I am definitely having to print out the agenda. So
I must admit, that's exactly what I've done.
Yeah. Yeah, printed it out.
I've got 2 computers here, so in theory I've got 4 screens. So if I can link them all together, I could actually have 4.
Did you see I know we're live on YouTube, but did you see the agenda for King George V? Has gone out?
Not in any detail, no. I saw it was there. It's all right.
Yeah, good. Good. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, sort of winter time is the typical time to do all of our landscaping type stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As I say, I'm just tying up a few loose ends.
But it's nice that people appreciate the park. Oh, here we are.
I think it's very, very much appreciated, actually, David.
Hello.
I nearly said good morning, Patsy, but I think it's good evening, isn't it?
Oh, you got no sound, Patsy.
There we are. Oh, Adrian, that's bad if you think it's the morning.
No, my body doesn't think it's the morning. I can assure you, I'm struggling with it actually. Having had before you rang me, I'd actually had an 1 hour and 3/4 Zoom call without Parish Council.
Poor you.
Yeah.
Hello, Hayley. Good evening to you.
Hello, Hayley. How nice to see you.
Hello, Hayley.
Hello, everyone. All right.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Good. I will mostly be muted this evening. The dog is on a very noisy rampage, so I will keep disruption levels to a minimum.
I'm hoping
you want to keep some dog biscuits by your PC. Just keep throwing the dog a biscuit.
Don't. He's an absolute nightmare. He has been driving me up the wall all day. I don't know what's wrong with him today, but I've had enough.
It's
He's not even allowed in the dining room because he steals everything. So he just ends up throwing himself at the doors to get attention.
It's quite a light agenda tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not too
Fingers
bad.
Crossed. Fingers crossed.
Well, I haven't had my dinner first, so
that's all right then.
That's why I'm being optimistic.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be optimistic as well. Hello, Kathy.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good. Hello. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Smiling, so that's got to be a really good sign.
Well, I'm not at work, so yeah. No.
Kathy, I always
received any apologies?
No.
No. Okay, thank you. I'm just getting my agenda. My minute's done already.
You were saying, Adrian, you always thought
you did 9 to 5, but you obviously don't.
Well, no. Yeah, my contract is 9 to 5, but you know, most people that have full-time jobs quite often work over their hours, don't they?
Well, no, so much over your hours. You seem to work quite a few Sundays.
I do, yeah. I'm always there by 8:30, and I'm rarely away by 5:30. Just the job, really.
No, I was just surprised at the number of
It's great.
weekends you worked. I didn't think when you took the job on, I didn't think you thought it was weekends, but
No. Well, it wasn't originally. So
I'm so surprised.
and then we had COVID and lockdown and needed to have family visits and stuff. So
right, that explains it.
Are you locking right down again now, or
sorry.
are you locking right down again now?
No, it's just the same. Nothing's really changed in the house. We've got a new indoor visitors room, which is really great. So it doesn't mean we're cancelling visits now because of the weather.
Yeah.
So that's good. Yeah, it's just difficult all round for everybody, isn't it?
It
Yeah,
certainly
that
is.
is.
Yeah.
Good evening, Ben. Can you hear us all right?
Good evening, Ben.
Hello, Tony. Good evening to you. Can you hear us all right?
Yes, good evening, David. Hi, everyone.
Oh, Tony, we can hear you as well. Sometimes you're a bit crackly, but you're not tonight.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're starting to crackle.
Yeah.
Oh. So we've got Tony, we've got Kathy, we've got Hayley, we've got me. Okay, we're waiting for quite a few more.
So waiting for Pat, Mike, Jeff, John, and Sue.
Mm.
And here's Pat.
Oh,
Hello, Pat.
Hello, Pat. Good evening to you. Can you hear okay? Can you hear us okay, Pat?
She's muted.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Don't worry, Hayley's got dog issues, so don't worry.
This is Samson. She's 15.
Oh, yeah, right.
There you go.
can I try an audio test? Can you hear me better now?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
That's better, is it?
crystal clear.
Okay, good.
Oh, dear. I'll be back in a minute.
Ben, are you doing any features on runners who from Melksham who've done the London Marathon?
I've only got one so far. Do you know of any?
Yeah, I mean, he did it in London, but he is from Melksham. He did it in
Depending on who you've got, Ben, I know a couple.
3 hours. He did it in 3 hours, 45 minutes.
Oh, wow. That's
I know.
fast.
I
Was
know
that
it's
Luke?
fast. Luke, yeah, 3 hours,
Luke,
45
that was amazing.
minutes.
Yeah, Pete Jeffries, Virginia's husband, did
Oh,
it as
yeah.
well. He did it around Southwick Country Park in Trowbridge, and he got to 18 miles and his knee gave out. So he came back to Melksham and he walked the rest around Melksham so that he got to it.
Well, Luke obviously is now living in Greenwich. Well, he's living in Plumstead because he lives in the same house as Jenny. But so she was going out giving him water, and sometimes she said he was running faster than she was driving through the London traffic. Yeah, but if you look at Luke Smith on Facebook, he's put his little thing up.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, and Pete Jeffries, he's on my friends list on Facebook, but he'd be more than happy to chat to you as well, definitely.
Cool. Brilliant. Thanks, guys.
That's right.
It's nice to have local people who have done it. Who's Pete done
I'm
it
sure
for?
there are more. The Forest Fitness Group might want to hear from you, Ben, as well, and maybe see if any of them lot did it as well.
David, have we got anybody else in waiting?
There's nobody in the waiting room, and we're waiting for Sue, John, Jeff, and Mike. and obviously Pat's coming back.
Yeah. Well, it's gone 7.
It's
That's
gone
all.
7, yeah.
I think we are quorate, aren't we?
Are we?
We are now. Pat's back. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
there's
are.
five there. Yeah.
Yeah, we're
That's fine.
quorate now. Then in that case, let's get going. We might as well. Okay, so welcome everybody. So do we have any public participation? No. Okay, that was nice and simple then. Okay, do we have any apologies?
No, sorry.
Okay. Do we have any declarations of interest? Nope. Oh, well, if you go through this quickly, you'll get your lunch, you'll get your tea very soon, Patsy. Okay, so we've got the minutes of the meeting of the 14th of September. I've got them in front of me. I've said the only way I can do this, chairing a meeting, and is to print the minutes out. I can't do it any other way. So are they a true record of, I'm happy to propose them. Do I have a seconder? Hayley's asked the seconder. All those in favour of them being a true record, please show. That's carried unanimously. I am a bit worried about the fact that these people may have forgotten it's gone to Tuesday, David.
I'm just starting to wonder that actually. But you think they couldn't get in last night, they might have wandered and gone, you think, wouldn't you?
Patsy, is it possible just to ping them a quick email or not? Is that all right? I sort of, if we...
So in that discussion, Adrian, who seconded the minutes, sorry?
Hayley.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Who are we still expecting?
John, Sue, Mike, and Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are they actually on the committee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're perfectly okay to start without them, but I do think we ought to ping them
I'm
an
doing it.
email just in case. Okay, so we're coming on to planning applications now. And the first planning application is the one at the Masonic Lodge in Church Street, which is to remove the sycamore tree because it is interfering with the foundations of the building. Kathy, yeah, I saw the look on your face there.
Yeah.
I just always get twitchy when people talk about removing trees.
Yeah.
But the Masonic Lodge is a listed building, so you know, it's I might have to abstain.
Well, I think it's one of those things where you're quite right. I mean, we are disappointed. I mean, could the Masonic Lodge plant a tree somewhere else in order to mitigate the fact that the tree is coming down? Could they put one in KGV? Or could we ask them to do that?
I
So
think
we've
that
got
would be,
no objections, but we would like to ask the lodge if they would support the actual planting of another tree in a suitable place. Pat.
Just want to make a comment that we've had this when I put the motion about trees being in all part of the planning process.
Yes, you did.
This is the first time I spoke at full council. It was terrifying, but I wanted it to be added to the planning in the same way that all the other things are, that there was a tree or trees were included in every housing development. And one of the points put forward was that it had to be certain kinds of trees because of the roots and also certain distances from the house and things like that, you know, where there was lots of discussion about it. And this is a perfect example of a tree being planted that nobody thought about 50 years later. Yeah, so just wanted to make that point.
Are we happy to accept the proposal, though, that we have no objections to this, but would like to write to the Masonic Lodge and ask them if they would put a tree up in a suitable place to replace it? Tony. Sorry, Hayley.
Hayley. I'm going to go first, Hayley. I was just saying, I mean, we're doing this outside of the planning system, presumably, writing direct to the Masonic Lodge.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to say about maybe the wording of it, in that, you know, that we could write to them to state, that we have no objections because of the reasons that it needs to be felled, but we would like to offer them the opportunity to plant somewhere on Melksham Town Council land to replace the tree that's being lost, maybe. So it's kind of just around making sure we word it sympathetically, that we understand that it needs to be done, but we're offering something to them rather than saying you have to do it. It's about partnership more than anything.
Absolutely, Hayley.
Yeah,
That's a really excellent idea. Pat.
Well, it could be another sycamore tree, like in the park, or something like that, where a sycamore tree wouldn't be interfering with the building, nowhere near the new building that's going to replace the white building that we're going to knock down.
Well, some people call sycamores weeds because they're foreign invasive trees, but actually they can look very attractive.
Yeah.
Kathy.
Well, I'm just wondering whether we ought to ask them. I mean, yes, all right, a sycamore tree, but maybe a native species, because I don't think we should be encouraging the planting of non-native species.
I think we ought to go for a native tree, but I'm more than happy to, I'm sure David or Linda or Patsy can put a really nice letter together to them. So all those in favor. Oh, hello, John.
Hello, John.
Hello, John. Sorry.
I'm having dreadful technical problems. Bear with me just 1 minute.
Oh, no problem.
Fine without me, I'm sure.
We're only on the very first planning application, okay? So we haven't actually got that far.
I don't think we need to refer to the tree species. We just invite them to fund the planting of a tree, perhaps within KGV. We plant it, they fund it.
Absolutely. Are we all in favour of that, though? All those show. That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Now we've got the next two. Can we do them together, please? Because although they're different planning applications, they are identical in the fact that one is 30 Meadowsweet and one is 31 Meadowsweet, and they're to put up awnings. And they're probably the fourth or fifth one that we've had from there. And it's obviously, obviously just, I think it's a sun issue on the balconies.
Yeah, move no objection for either.
Can we go with no objections for either, please? All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Okay, so the next one we've got on there is Waverley Gardens, 17 Waverley Gardens. Now I know it's in John's patch, so he might want to say something about it. I did look very carefully at the planning application this afternoon. I was a bit concerned because it was turning from a detached to a pair of semis. I then went on to the maps and everything like that. It's a very large conservatory that is being removed, and a second semi is being put in its place. There is a complaint, that's not the right word to use. There is concern from the resident opposite that he will now be looking out over a car park because the garden is going to be turned into 2 times 2 car parking spaces. But I couldn't see any planning grounds to turn it down on. So if anybody else has looked at it and wants to come in now, please shout. Tony.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not a relevant comment, but this seems to be completely mad, because what we have here is quite a reasonably attractive detached house, which must be worth a reasonable amount of money. And they want to knock it down with the cost of that and then build 2 semis. And I can't believe they're going to possibly make a profit on this.
I read the design statement. You read the design statement, they're not knocking down the original house. They're knocking down the conservatory and adding on to it.
Okay, it does say demolition somewhere.
Yeah,
but,
not if you read, if you go in, there's quite a good design statement written by the architect. John, it's your ward, you know it really well. Have you got any views?
I don't have a shoe. I mean, I would actually go with what Tony says in terms of I struggle with exactly what they're going to gain from it, but of course they're creating 2 properties, so I guess it's bordering on excessive development, but I don't think so enough that we could reasonably object, unfortunately. The complete loss of the front garden is unfortunate, but is not out of keeping with what's on that estate in other parts of the estate. What will become the significant lack of back garden, really, But even those back gardens are probably large compared with what you're buying up on Hunter's Moon or whatever. So unfortunately, whilst I'm not thrilled at it, I don't think that there's planning reasons we can object to it.
That's exactly my view as well. Tony? And then Pat.
Just, yeah, I mean, I have sympathy with the people that live opposite, and they refer to the danger of vehicles reversing out of that driveway. But actually, if you look on Street View, you see that's exactly what they do themselves. They park in front of the house, so they must reverse in or out. So they're complaining about something they actually do themselves.
Yeah, and it was a very nice sort of letter of concern.
Oh, yes, and very
I mean, they were saying
professionally
that they weren't complaining about the application itself, just highlighting that issue. But I couldn't see any planning grounds that we could oppose it on. So I'm going to suggest, I'm going to propose no objection. Do I have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second that.
John's happy to second that. Okay, in that case, can we vote on no objections on that one, please? That's carried unanimously. So is there nothing from any, I mean, it's quite ironical that Mike Sankey's not here, actually. Sorry. Considering, because sorry, John, Patsy did actually email, because there's a few councillors who haven't come, and I was a bit worried that it might be the change of date to Tuesday.
I'm sure it is. I think it's probably going to.
But it's ironical Mike Sankey's not here because he was the person who proposed it. Okay, so, but nothing, Patsy, nothing from
I've
any
not
of the...
had a reply from anybody.
Okay, fine. Let's go on then. Okay, so we've got St Michael's Court in Cannon Square. Anybody got any comments on it? It's upgrading the flats, making them nicer. No objections?
It's inside the flats, isn't it?
It's
Not
inside,
out-
yeah, it's inside.
Yeah, there's no significant change to the exterior, is there? So
No.
Yeah, and it says to replace to meet latest regulations, so it's necessary works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so can we all show no objections, please? Can I put one of Hayley down as a seconder? Okay, fine, thank you. Okay, so those are the planning applications done. There we are. We weren't too long, Patsy. So we now go on to, oh, sorry, I've got to find the bits of paper. It's on here as an update, although in actual fact the planning application has gone to Melksham Without last night, hasn't come to us, but we have to have our comments in by the 23rd of October, which I think is the day of or the day before our next meeting. So our clerk has suggested that we can discuss this tonight, put forward whatever we want to put forward, and we can have a second bite of the cherry in October as well, if that is what is wanted. So I'm going to start off by just saying that David and I attended a meeting of Melksham Without Parish Council, which we were invited to with the developers. John?
no, when you're done, I was just indicating to speak next.
Yeah, okay, so for those of you who are aware of the history, who aren't aware of the history, there's been a few applications on this site. It's behind Townsend Farm. At the moment, it's only, David, do you want to come in now or do you want me to finish?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind you, Chair, that having another discussion of this in October, so our next meeting on the 27th, is subject to planning allowing us to do that.
Thank you.
I tried to hold them this afternoon, there's nobody there, so there's no guarantee.
Right, okay,
I
fine.
think they will be flexible.
Okay, so it's what they've done now though is instead of it being the entire site, it's only half the site. All right, so it's the bit of Townsend Farm which is nearest the road, I think, rather than nearest the countryside. I think that's probably the easiest way of describing it. So it's for the eastern end of the site. It's 2.2 hectares, which is 50 houses, although there is an intention to develop the rest of the site, and the applicant has control of the whole site. There's no flooding and no drainage issues, and the site's flat. There will be affordable houses included in the outline proposals. There has been no public consultation, at all. because of obviously of COVID, but what they're saying is that there was enough public consultation due to in the previous rounds to be able to do that. Okay, so the key issues and concerns. You actually, right, David's trying to share his screen.
Has it, is it sharing? It's saying to
No.
me.
Oh, yes.
There it is.
Oh, amazing.
Mhm.
Right, that really does help actually, because you can now see, in the past, it was going to be in this back bit here as well. And now they've cut the site in half. Okay, so major issues for the town are the fact that they are suggesting that that people cross the Semmington Road here, come all the way up, come round the corner, onto the Pelican Crossing, go across the Pelican Crossing, and then continue back to the roundabout and into town via King Street, into Aluric via King Street as well. Now, I think everybody here knows that that's not going to happen. And therefore, that was one of the things which I think from my point of view and from David's point of view, that's what we brought up. So lack of footpaths along the Semmington Road is a big issue. Traffic volumes on the Semmington Road, bearing in mind you've got the Bellway development as well. Lack of any joined up consultation with the Canal Trust. Lack of capacity at local schools, primary and secondary. Absolutely no work has been done on safe walking routes to schools. No real work has been done on how to access the secondary school safely. Very little work has been done on public transport in the area, and there's no provision on there for children's play areas, teen shelters, circular walks, and the site is very isolated because obviously you've got the A350, which separates it from the town. We did talk about community benefit. We did talk about the fact that they were talking about improving the pedestrian access across the A350. But as John will be able to tell you, there have been some serious issues on that crossing on the A350 with a couple of very, very near misses that went to Catchy last week. They did talk about the provision of children's play areas, but there isn't anything on the site. We did talk about the fact that we would want to have improved footpaths and provision on the Semmington Road, and the fact that some of the Section 106 money or SIL money could go towards the village hall, which is being built at Bellway.
Excuse me, I'm just going to answer my front door.
Oh, all right, John, we'll wait for you. One of the other concerns that came up is, of course, it is on education. That site would go to, the children would be really expected to go to Aluric. They can't go to St. George's because St. George's is through the bus gate, and therefore parents can't take them to St. George's. Right. I think that's what David and I wrote after the meeting. I don't know if anybody wants to say. I know John obviously does. So let's wait till. Does anybody want to say anything before John comes back? I've lost Tony actually.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's fine, Tony. It's just that obviously the problem is when you have a shared screen, you can't see.
Yeah.
Can you? Sorry,
No.
you want to speak?
Only to say that, you know, we have exactly the same objections to this as we've had previously, and, you know, they're not making any contributions to the canal, you know, lack of school facilities and all the rest of it. So obviously the difference now is the lack of 5-year land supply and how that might what difference that might make, but obviously this is Melksham without. So, you know, how they might respond to it.
The key issues. John, are you back?
Yeah, I am.
Sorry, I can't see you, so apologies. I mean, the meeting that we went to, those were the key issues that came up from both councils. I mean, I think we need to lead with the concerns over pedestrian access to the town, because that's obviously, to me, the most important bit, and then back up everything else. John, you come in now.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, this, as you said in your introduction, Chair, I think they're trying for third time lucky now, or fourth time lucky, aren't they, on this site? Every previous, even the 100% social housing attempt that they made was rejected. The problem with this site is it's geographically a bad location to put this housing in unless you introduce significant. The only way really you could do this would be to put a new pedestrian bridge over the A350.
I said the same thing, John.
Oh, sorry, I was.
No, at the meeting.
Oh, right, at the meeting. Yeah, the only way you can do this is to put a bridge over the A350, which they would never fund. I have the intention of calling this in, although it's not strictly in my ward runs directly adjacent to it. And therefore I'm allowed to call it in because of impact on my residents. I've checked with the planning officer. However, I'm aware that at last night's meeting, Melksham Vow objected to it and asked Nick Holder as the local member there to call it in as well. So there'll be plenty of objections to this going in from member level. I mean, it's very clear. You only need to look at the indicative layout to see that the second half of it will be developed probably before the first half. They've put the first brick in the land. The planning application will come in for the second half of it. The 2 roads leading into it are left there unfinished. So, yeah, I think we need to object to this strongly. Our only hope of winning the objection to it, I suspect, is if the neighbourhood plan goes to regulation 14 or 16 or whatever it is fast enough that we get the partial cover from it. But this is another price we're paying for 5-year land supply.
I think that's why it's been banged in so quickly, actually, John.
Yeah, no, I and it's why it's gone in. They've put it in without all of the appropriate consultation, hoping to be able to blag it through on the previous stuff, because they wanted to get in front of the other people who were doing the consultation, and getting them all through in the 5-year land supply. And when we see councillors fighting development in Chippenham and stopping all the development happening in Chippenham, this is again the price Melksham will pay for that.
You might not be aware, though, that the application for the 450 houses, sorry, 250 houses plus the old people's accommodation has gone in yesterday into Wiltshire Council as the extension on Pathfinder Way, and that went in yesterday as well. So it's you know, it's quite large. Has everybody had? Sorry, John.
I said it's just open season, isn't it?
Yes,
Again, with the lack of 5-year land supply.
Are we happy though with all the key issues that I read through that David and I put together? Does anybody want to add anything onto that? Do you want me to read them again or what?
I wasn't here for all of them because I meant to answer to my constituent, but if we've got impact on the road, pedestrian access, impact on A350, and outside of settlement boundary.
Yeah, outside of settlement boundary.
Areas as well.
Yeah. Schools, capacity of schools, safe walking routes, public transport. Are you happy with all of that, John?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to object to this and put those objections in. And if David, are you happy with that?
Yeah, fine, thank you, Chair.
Okay, so if I propose that, can I have a second? John, I can't see you, but I'm
seconding. I'm raving at you.
Yeah, I know.
David, can you end screen sharing?
Oh, thank you. It's really difficult. Screen share is so important when you've got a planning application, but then you can't see anybody. All right, so all those in favour of actually objecting to this site. Thank you very much indeed. That's carried unanimously. Okay, so now we've got the planning decisions.
Do you mind if I just interrupt for 2 seconds? I've had a message from Mike Sankey and he'd like to give his apologies, please, for a misunderstanding. He thought the meeting was cancelled.
Oh, that's next week's meeting that's cancelled.
Okay, but he sent his apologies. He's not in a position to be able to attend now.
Okay. Right. Okay, right. So we've got the planning application, decisions of Kenilworth Gardens, which is approved with conditions, and we had no objections. 35 Spa Road is approved with conditions. We had no objections. Then we've got Linnet Lane. The decision is approved. And we've got 50B Methuen Avenue. approved with conditions, and we had no objections. I don't know if anybody's got any questions to ask, but Pat.
Just to say that I had an email this afternoon from Alan Spedding about the Canons Court one.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And he just heard from Eileen Medlin that she's allowed the, no, she hasn't allowed the age thing. So,
good.
You know.
Good, that's good.
No, it's not good. You know, she hasn't allowed.
No, what she said, she's allowing the age thing to drop.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh no, that's bad news.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
That's bad news.
Yeah, so I said I'd pass it on, but you'll get that one on the next meeting, won't you?
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Right, so the next item on the agenda is just the confirmation that there's a tree preservation order on the oak tree at 1227 Savanack. I'm sure we're all happy to accept that. All those in favour, please show that we're just acknowledging it. Thank you very much. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is about this incinerator in Westbury. I've done some research on it, but I don't know whether or not anybody wants to start off. It was a resident of Westbury who asked us to put it on our agenda. Pat.
Just to say that there's been a lot of discussion about it, and it's just completely I just don't understand why they're allowing this to go ahead. It's old technology, and it's like, you know, it just shouldn't be happening, and it's going to do so many things to the air quality and traffic and all sorts of things. It's in a completely, I mean, it's just, first of all, it's too old, and it shouldn't be a brand new old technology item like this, and it shouldn't be in that spot, and it's against every improvement in living conditions in the area that you can possibly think of. It's just completely beyond me as to why it's being allowed, and I really would like us to object very, very, very strongly about it.
Okay, John.
Right, well, what she said, and then adding to that, what we've seen with this site, and it is worth being mindful of the history of it, and probably Ben knows more about this than any of us, actually, with reporting on it in White Horse News. But what we've seen is a steady degradation, lowering of the standards of the service that, you know, it was going to be a gas turbine one, it was going to be something environmentally friendly. And now, as Pat says, we've effectively got something here that's going to be 1960s technology being built. And worse than that, this is going to have actually, and this is, I think, a ground, we've got to be careful what we can complain about.
Yeah.
I think that for Melksham to complain about air quality would probably be a bit dodgy, because whilst you're absolutely right, Pat, it will have a significant impact on air quality. That would be air quality in Westbury, not air quality in Melksham. It's unlikely that it would come this far. It would have dissipated by here. What will come this far and what will impact us is traffic. And what this incinerator will have is lorry after lorry after lorry of waste being taken to it for disposal and to be burned, and then the impact of that on our community. We all know the A350 is already overstretched. We all know the A350 bottlenecks at peak times all the time now, and I think we've got real grounds to raise an objection in terms of impact on traffic, because they say from within a 2-hour travelling distance. Well, you've got to remember Westbury is about 40 minutes from the M4. So 2 hours from there means 1 hour 20 minutes on the M4. You could have stuff coming from the whole of the south of England right up to parts of the Midlands, because you can get to Chippenham from Gloucester in 1 hour 20 minutes. You can virtually get from Tewkesbury down to Chippenham in 1 hour 20 minutes if the going's good. And we all know that if they say 2 hours travelling, they'll lie. I mean, be creative with their journey times, Ben. I feel that you know, we've really got to stress that without all of the improvements that should have been done on the A350, we don't think that the highway infrastructure can support this development.
I've got here, John, that's more than 60% of the waste material burnt by the incinerator will be transported by road and creating more congestion, pollution and environmental damage. That's what I've got written down here.
Yep.
In
Yeah.
the research that I did.
And if we care at all about Westbury, I mean, you know, some of the roads in Westbury are so narrow, and it's you know, it's just not a town that was ever built for huge traffic, and they're going to suffer something terrible.
Oh,
I
it'd be a
would
nightmare.
somehow, John, like to get in something on the air pollution. I appreciate what you're saying, but at the end of the day, they're going from this gasification plant to a conventional incinerator. It will split.
Oh, Chad, put it in. What I'm saying is that an objection from 15 miles away is unlikely to carry much weight in terms of air pollution, but the objection on highways would carry a significant amount of weight.
Also, it's going to generate in the region of 250,000 tons of CO2 each year and lock the county into it for the next 25 years.
Oh, it's outrageous. Yeah.
So I think we ought to put that in as well, and that we can just say this could have a significant impact on the residents of Wroxham. We don't have to say it will. We can just say it could. Surely that's being creative as well, John.
Oh yeah.
Hayley.
Sorry, you
Sorry,
all
you
froze on me.
You were asleep, Hayley.
Yeah, I mean, while we're 15 miles away and the air pollution wouldn't have a massive impact, as a result of the increase in traffic, that does have an impact on our air pollution as well. So I think we do have grounds to mention it definitely and state that it has that knock-on effect as well. It's also worth remembering that Wiltshire Council said they'd be carbon neutral in the next 10 years. And if we sign into something like this through Wiltshire Council, then that's already going back on the pledge. So I think we need to make that point that this is actually going directly against something that's already been promised and make a big stink about that. Pardon the pun. You know, but it's, you know, this is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, even the least green-fingered people couldn't see that this is a backward step. You know, and we need to really be kicking off about this, I think.
So what I've said here, the incinerator and the transportation it needs to bring in waste will blow a huge hole in Wiltshire Council's aspiration of becoming carbon neutral by 2030. So if I send this, which is basically what John has said, what we've said about air pollution and what you've just said about carbon neutral to David, and then perhaps he can use this as his basis for putting in an objection. David.
Yeah, Chair. Do members wish to make any comment about the? Obviously, we've talked about the waste going into the site. Do you want to make any comments about the residues coming out, which will have varying degrees of toxicity? Because it's a two-way traffic, waste in, residue out.
Have they specified what's happening to the waste, David?
Some of it will get used, the low-level toxic waste will get used in building materials. The more significantly toxic waste, they haven't particularly said, I don't think. But, you know, it would have to come up by road wherever it went. And that, to me, is a potential for reverse traffic back up the A350.
Well, it will come back up the A350, yes.
Can we just add that in then, please?
Yeah, and, you know, if there was an accident, say, on the more toxic waste on the A350, then the implications for motion could potentially be greater.
Yeah, the potential risk of hazardous waste being transported through our community.
Do we want to add anything else in? I think we've covered. Do we have to write anything in there about supporting Westbury Town Council in their serious concerns over this application?
Well, it would be nice for Westbury Town Council if we did, wouldn't it? I mean, if we said something in support of them in particular.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, to say that we fully support Westbury Town Council's concerns. Yeah.
We all happy on that one as well?
Well, why don't we say something like we recognise, support and share the concerns of Westbury Town Council on the impact of this development on the immediate and wider community area.
I've just seen a message from Ben to say that the consultation ended on the 22nd of September. I'm sure we can put it in, Ben. I think they would have had so much that they probably haven't ploughed their way through even a fraction of it yet. David, can it be number one priority for tomorrow though, to get it in?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
As we've actually
They won't
passed it.
notice that it's late.
It's just if you and Patsy can, well, I'm not sure who does that, but okay. Are we happy with what we're doing? Yep, all those in favour of putting that in tomorrow then please show. Okay, that is the end of the agenda. I don't believe I'm saying that, but it is. So thank you very much for coming. It's 7:37, so maybe putting things on a Tuesday is a good idea. I'm sorry that a few councillors obviously got the mixed message, because the actual meeting that was cancelled was next week's, not this week's. Okay, thank you very much indeed, and goodbye. Good night.
Thank you.
And thank you
Good
very
night.
much. Goodbye.
Bye.